Hello everyone and welcome back to the latest video on the channel. I hope you're all well. Thank you so much for watching. We've made it to the weekend. It's Friday. Now I am down the coast and I was going to do my forest preview just over there on the promenade, but unfortunately the heavens have opened, as you can probably see here. So I'm in the safety and dryness of the car to record this one. So yes, Newcastle travelled to the City Ground. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff on Super Sunday this weekend. And before last night, and before seeing our recent record against Forest, I was thinking, yeah, Forest have picked up a bit of form recently. They've won 5 consecutive games. And I was thinking, Forest probably might win this game because Morgan Gibbs-White, especially before he got his facial injury at Stamford Bridge, had been in scintillating form. But last night, Aston Villa dumped them out 4-0 in the Europa League semi-final second leg at Villa Park. So they're not going to Istanbul. And Villa keep the slight hope alive for everyone that if they finish 5th and win the Europa League later this month, then 6th spot will be the last Champions League place. And Forest, like I said, had won their previous 5 games. They'd got impressive wins. Well, not so much against Burnley. They won 4-1. But they beat the Mackhams away 5-0. As I said, they beat Villa 1-0 in the first leg of the semi-final. And also on Bank Holiday Monday just gone, they'd won at Stamford Bridge 3-1. And Newcastle had lost 4 games in a row before last Saturday when goals from Willis Sula, Dan Burn and Harvey Barnes saw it with a 3-1 win over perpetual torturers Brighton. So yeah, we'll go to the City Ground maybe in a slightly better frame of mind, and we've got fresher legs because at the moment Newcastle United are 13th in the Premier League with 45 points and Nottingham Forest are behind us in 16th on 42 points. And more cause for optimism is our record at the City Ground. Now I know under Rafa we went there, I think it was December of 2016, went out to 9 men. Henry Lansbury in particular, he was annoying that game. He got John Joe Shelby sent off. But then in the reverse fixture, Cormac came back to bite him on the backside when Villa lost at St James's Park when he transferred to them, and he scored an own goal right in front of us at the Gallagher. How we laughed that day. But yeah, in the top flight, in 7 visits, we've won 4, drew 3 and lost none, and we've won the last 4 visits to Nottingham. So yeah, it is cause for optimism. But I do remember those visits in the 90s when they were in the Premier League, especially Ian Woan, still to this day, 30 years on, when he ruined our title chances. He was a bogey player. He constantly scored against us, a bit like Graham Fenton, the local lad who played for Blackburn Rovers. However, if you want to bring it back, like I said, you've got to also balance it out. I like to be objective. We are the 3rd lowest scorers away from home in the Premier League this season. We only do have 16 goals. I think that's only better than Wolves and Sunderland. I think Wolves have 7 and Sunderland have 10. And then you go to our injuries as well. I have to come on to them. Yes, Forest are missing some players. I've got them noted here. They're missing Murillo. Morgan Gibbs-White didn't come off the bench last night. You saw he's just battered and bruised. A massive cut down here. And both eyes are black and blue. They're also missing Aina, Sangare and Ndoye. It's rumoured on social media today. Again, it's just conjecture. I don't know if this is legit, so don't take my word for it. That Vitor Pereira said, nope, they're out of Sunday. So that'll be a massive boost, though they do still have 3 former Toon boys in there in Matt Sells, Elliot Anderson and Chris Wood. So we'll hope they don't come back to haunt, especially Whitley Bale, the Geordie Maradona. And they've still got a couple of impressive players in there. I feel Milenkovic has been good in the centre of defence alongside Murillo. And I also really think that Taiwo Awoni, yes, he's not a prolific scorer, but he is a handful. So he is someone we'll have to look out for. But Newcastle's injuries, I need to come on to them. Obviously, Emil Kraft, he's going to leave this summer. He's still out for the rest of the season. I think that was a knee injury. Fabian Schär, he's someone I would keep on. I know you can't really base it on sentiment, and Fabi Schär's out with his toe infection, but I still do think he can do a job. He does lift the quality of the team and the defence if he is available. So we'll wait and see on Fabian Schär, but what Eddie Howe said recently, I don't think he might want to keep him. I still think he'd be a good backup option in terms of the squad, even though I think he is 34 now. But he's been the best pound-for-pound signing, I think, in recent history. Fabian Schär is just quality, even though he's lost a yard of pace. And then you come on to our other 2 injuries as well. First one I have to get on to, the main one, is Lewis Miley. Lewis Miley in training this week. Eddie Howe confirmed in his press conference this morning. He went down and he's got a fracture of his fibula, which basically is a leg injury. He's hoping that he'll be back in a couple of months for pre-season when we'll go to our training camp in Murcia at La Manga. But yeah, it's such a blow. And I'm not going to call, look, I've heard some people say Lewis Miley's injury prone, but I was having a conversation with the lads this morning and on lunch about which players would you keep. If you had to name 3 players you'd keep next season, if you have to guarantee them, or you think they will stay. My 3 were Lewis Miley, Lewis Hall, and Bruno Guimaraes. Again, when you come to transfers, Livramento might end up staying because of his injuries. Sandro Tonali, I'm really unsure on, so we'll wait and see on that. Anthony Gordon, it looks like he is going. I'm going to come to him in a moment. But yeah, Miley, I think he'd stay. And look, you've got to remember, Miley's just this month, he's just turned 20. The lad is still really, really young, and he's still growing. Men don't stop growing till they're 21, so I wouldn't say he's injury prone because he had a dead leg and a thigh injury previously, but now this injury is his fibula, and he went down, no contact. I just think it's one of those unfortunate ones. Some players just in a season just get rotten luck with injuries, so let's just hope young Louis comes back strong and fitter, so we'll see him next season. And then finally, Tino Livramento, as I've just said, he might end up staying because you might have these bigger clubs. Manchester City were interested, but I think Guardiola, if he does stay, might be put off by his injuries. And I still do think there's a few better right backs out there, even though Livramento's versatile, and sometimes I think he's better at left back, as it was proven in the cup final when he marked Salah out of the game. But yeah, Livramento, Howe said he's not going to probably rush him back. He'll just give him the summer. But the big question on Livramento is, will he be here next season? Not when will he return? So we'll wait and see on that one. But before I come to Anthony Gordon, what will my team be tomorrow? Well, I'm going to give you 2 answers. One is what I think Eddie Howe's team will be. I think despite we're struggling to get over the line and Brighton having around 70% of possession last Saturday, we still get the win. I think Brighton's shooting boots weren't on for a change. Ours weren't. We defended a lead. But I think Eddie Howe might keep faith with the same team. Bar Lewis Miley, so I think Kieran Trippier will come back in at right back. So I think Eddie Howe will go and change. But what will my team be? You might be surprised with an inclusion in here, but I'm going to stick with Nick Pope in goal. As I've said before, Aaron Ramsdale's not being signed permanently. Nick Pope is a disaster with his feet. I can't wait for a number 1. I hope we sign someone like Gregor Kobel from Dortmund, Robin Rissa from Lens. San Maximan should get in his here and tell him to come here. Or James Trafford. I am impressed with James Trafford. James Trafford, like I said in a previous video when he's played us in the cup games here, when I was on Tynemouth Longsands down the coast, that, yeah, he was impressed. But again, his wages might be a stumbling block. He might need to take a wage cut. And then you come to the other one, Bart Verbruggen. But Bart Verbruggen, he did look a little shaky and had a couple errors in him, especially for the first goal when he came out and took out Murphy on the right wing, but Murphy stayed on his feet and put it in the box for Asula's opening goal. So yeah, the goalkeeper, again, that's why I'd stick with Nick Pope in goal. So my team would be Nick Pope in goal. Kieran Trippier would come in at right back because we haven't got any other right backs. Lewis Hall would come back in at left back. Now I think I would go with a centre back pairing of Malik Chow and Dan Burn. Now I know Sven Botman's better on the ball, but I just think because Forest do have an aerial threat with Milenkovic and also Chris Wood, and also who I mentioned before as well, and Taiwo Awoniyi, if he starts up front, then I think you need Dan Burns' height in there. But it could be like against Brighton, if we do struggle a bit and we need an extra body, we can drop into a back 5 and bring Botman in there. Midfield, I would stay with the same midfield. Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton. For his physicality, we're probably going to need that in the centre of the park. And then a front 3, this is where you might be surprised. On the right wing, I would have Will Asula. Now, I know Asula's in a rich vein of form. I'm sure he's only behind the likes of Salah and Haaland. I think he's 3rd or 4th in goals to game ratio at the minute, which is really impressive, 4 goals in 6 games. But he does look better off the right. He was rolling his defenders, letting it go through their legs and cutting in. He had that chance that just went wide of the post against Brighton. So yeah, and remember his goal against Man U earlier in the season. So I'd start Asula off the right. On the left, I wouldn't play Harvey Barnes. I'd bring him off the bench again because I didn't feel he'd done too much against Brighton. I feel I'd play Barnes off the bench and I'd start with Willock, because Willock, if you bring Barnes on second half, Willock's that out ball. Because I feel we're similar. We might set up similar to Forest, where we'll be narrow between the midfield and defence again. And both teams might look to play on the counter. And Forest going out last night, they might need to respond. And they're at home, so the crowd might be on their back. And I still don't think they're entirely safe from relegation. So they might need the result. So it might play into our hands. So that's why I'd play Joe Willock on the left. He's that out ball from deep. And then centre forward, I'd give Johan Visser a chance. It's obvious that Nick Voltemada's not in favour with EddieHowe, despite him talking glowingly about his substitute appearance at the Emirates. He didn't get off the bench last week, and you saw he handed his shirt to a fan in the crowd on halfway when they were doing the lap of appreciation. Then he went straight down the tunnel. Then a lot's being made of him like that in the dressing room photo after the game. So yeah, that being my team: Pope, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton, Isula, Visser and Willock. And what is my score prediction? I'm going to go with the confidence behind us, with a win last week and Forest kind of being on the ropes going out of Europe last night. I think we can take advantage of tired legs and the confidence being knocked a bit and win 2-1 and keep up with unbeaten Premier League record at the City ground. Before I wrap this video up, I want to talk about Anthony Gordon and his links with other clubs. It was reported earlier this week that the German giants Bayern Munich are interested in him. They rate him at about £55 million. And Max Eberl and Christopher Freund, Bayern Munich sporting officer and sporting director respectively, are keen on him. However, they do have limits and are willing to explore other options, because the stumbling block isn't with Gordon, it's with Newcastle United, because Newcastle rate him at about €85 million, which is £73 million, and Bayern wouldn't go that high. Also, his wages would be a problem as well. They have presented him though with a 5-year contract, and it's well known that they have been following him since the turn of the year. Keith Downey reported that last night, and they're really keen on the player. And Downey also reported that Newcastle and Bayern have a good relationship, despite the drama that happened last summer with Nick Voltemada signing for us when he left Stuttgart for £69 million. And the last part of Downey's report last night is Bayern have opened talks with Newcastle United, and they have admitted that he is going to go this summer, so they are willing to listen to offers for him and allow him to explore his options. Now, he's under contract until 2030, and as I said, we value him at about £73 million. And look, I'd be happy if he went to the continent so we don't have to face him here. But the £73 million and his wages here might be a stumbling block for the likes of the clubs who are interested. Well, 2 of the 3 of them. I don't think Barcelona, because we saw that earlier this week his agents were in Catalonia and they met Barcelona's sporting director and former player Deco. I mean, for a player who EddieHowe said this morning is 100% committed, well, I'm sorry, but if a player was 100% committed, why his agents with 3 games to go in the season over in Spain talking to Barcelona sporting director? Actions speak louder than words. So Eddie, you can dress it up as much as you like, but I'm sorry, Gordon is going. But I don't think Barcelona and Bayern Munich would break their wage structure. They're very careful. It's also been reported this afternoon by the Borough fan and reporter Graham Bailey that PSG are interested in Gordon as well, because they expect Bradley Barcola to leave. I mean, let's face it, if he went to the French capital in Paris, they wouldn't have a problem offering him big wages and also the transfer fee, because they're owned by the Qataris, aren't they? And they're now in the Champions League final as well after seeing off Bayern Munich, which was a bit of a letdown, I must admit, after the first leg. But yeah, Gordon, yeah, I expect him to leave because, as I've said for all the reasons in previous videos, he only turns up when Thomas Tuchel's in attendance or when he's playing one of the bigger clubs or Champions League, as I've said. The fact that he didn't turn up against Palace speaks volumes. So yeah, I'd be willing to allow Gordon to leave this summer. But we'll wait and see on that one. There's a few clubs interested. And you know what? I want to say this. It's not the fact that Gordon's ambitious. I've got no problem with a player who's ambitious and wants to go to a club who's got more chance of winning trophies than us. That's just a fact they have. Bayern, PSG and Barca are way bigger than us. It's my problem with him is he thinks, speaking of PSG, he thinks he's Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, who, in my opinion, is the current best left winger in the world. Gordon thinks he's bigger than he is. He calls himself this mentality monster, but he's not consistent. So yeah, we've seen good spells from him. He's done well in the Champions League this season, breaking Shearer's record, most goals ever for a Newcastle player in the Champions League. But would I be disappointed if he went? No. I thank him for 2 good seasons, but since Liverpool's interest had faded in him 2 seasons ago, he hasn't really wanted to be here, so let him go for the right money this summer and reinvest it wisely. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching from a rain-swept vlog inside the car. Please please do comment on anything you'd like to discuss, what I've talked about in this video. Please hit the bell to be notified when the latest videos have been uploaded to the channel. Please do subscribe and please do hype. And I will see you in my post-match reaction once we played Forest on Sunday. So for now, enjoy your weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.